Hello everybody, and welcome back to the LJL officially unofficial cast. My name is Alex, otherwise known as Lexi. I still bring over my masked one on the internet. I am of course joined by Initialize and Nightmare, the Hapgood brothers, the combination of destruction, the brothers of destruction of when it comes to casting. Like they're not choke slamming people for no reason.
We destroy our vocals.
We have a very good reason to choke slam people when it comes around.
We destroy our vocals, we destroy our reputation.
That's a good one.
Yeah, no, everything is destroyed by the end of it.
That's okay. Cool.
That's a big one.
Yes.
Well, this is you Nightmare. You missed some cracking games yesterday of DFM versus Sengoku, and then the Hawks facing off against V3. V3 picking up that win, and Sengoku causing an upset.
Yeah,
massively.
Hey, it puts into question some of our playoff predictions, right? Because if we are going to get I would assume we're going to get a best of 5 at some point between DFM and Sengoku now. Maybe even 2, because we've got the upper bracket, then the loser will go through to it. And if they can take a game off them, who's to say they can't wrangle something in a best of 5?
Well, the initial few games are best of 3s. It's not till we get to the later spot of best of 5. So Sengoku will potentially have to fight. And assuming DFM don't have any more upsets, they should be fine for the initial part. But we will have to find out. Our first game, which will help Sengoku if they win it, in getting into those 5 placement spots, those 5 game placement spots, is going to be against Crest Gaming Act, our former second place team before they had a few loss streak, facing off against the new second place team of Sengoku Gaming. These words that are coming out my mouth, I'm glad I tune myself in and out like I'm like Peter Griffin. Like I've drifted into the end of that and I'm like, what did I just say?
Yeah, so the Not King is dead. Long live the Not King, because DFM is still up there.
They're still winning.
They're still, like,
they're not doing a Cloud 9 anymore.
Oh no, they're not. Absolutely not. But yeah, so we'll see if CGA managed to reset the mantle a little bit, come in with a fresh set of ideas and eyes, and even themselves up with Sengoku. On the other side, Sengoku looking to solidify their second place standing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Sengoku Gaming showed a lot of improvement from the week before. I mean, a lot of it was on the back of a very good early game from Blank. Found 4 early kills, 2 counter ganks, some really good stuff from him that led to a lot of objective control. And that objective control led them to an Infernal Soul stacked up with an Elder Drake that turned Ezreal into a nuclear warhead. And
which he was. He was literally doing a Q. He like ult Q would basically kill somebody.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Wouldn't even have to E. Wouldn't have to W or that was like the insane part. He's like, normally you have to do the full combo and then you get a lot of damage through. It's like, nah, I could just throw a Q onto you with an ult from halfway across the map and you're dead. You're just dead.
I had a chance to look at the VOD for it very briefly before we came on stream just to get myself caught up. Obviously, you only cast it yesterday, so I didn't have too much time. But the main takeaway from me is that it was confident play from Sengoku, and that's something which we really haven't seen outside of maybe 1 or 2 games so far from them. So it's not the most regular thing we see from them, but if they are keeping up in this kind of form and they can bring that into this match against CGA, I am a bit scared for the boys in blue, Aria, Gango, and all the rest of them.
I mean, honestly,
they are confident in their own right.
They were confident, but it was a game that, honestly, if anyone can take ownership for that, it's Yutori Muashi. Like, we really do have to state, he was so important for this team, with Blank truly catching and just 0-4. I think he was 4-0 at one point.
Yeah,
like,
he was.
Like, he had most of the kills. He was just everywhere on the map.
Yeah, well, this is the thing, like, Yutori Miyashi was set up to succeed. He definitely took it to the finish line, but, like, Blank had a really good early game, like you were saying.
Yes. I mean, it was like Blank was 4-0 and then got solo Rift Herald turret gold on the top side, having killed Ebby off. So, like, he was a rich spider that game, and that kind of objective control that was earned from his kind of early pressure led to Ezreal just kind of getting a free chance to scale, and then all the Drakes he could possibly want to be outputting obscene amounts of damage.
Obviously, Blank had found the way to monetize the Silk trade.
This is it. It's the return of the Silk Road.
It's the big brain Blank making the Silk Road wherever he walks on the map.
This is how CO it is.
So
we're
linking
bringing some lore into Summoner's Rift, which has lost all its lore because the game is no longer tied to anything resembling.
You know, I love how Lexi was about to go on to something important about the game that we're going to play, and just like, let's go on a tangent. Lexi, can we get back to the current standings?
So talking about Blank, let's compare him to Yoshi, because I think that's an interesting point. We have Blank, a jungler who has truly stepped up for their team, versus the jungler who is still, I'm spamming those question marks, pings on what. This feels like a losing matchup for that side of the team. This duo of Blank Pyrion, Blank Apperman is just such a beautiful thing, whereas Nap and Arya arguably have to play for themselves.
Yeah, I think that Yoshi on the whole doesn't exactly win lanes for his carries, they do it for themselves.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Apperman kind of does his own thing, and Nap is not going to be the... Yeah, he just kind of does his own thing, right?
Yeah, Apperman is the only jungler where you can truly leave him to his own devices, and you're like it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's just whatever, right? And but then, like, on the other... if he does just do his own thing, and then Pyrion has a game like he did in the last one as well, you know, like, I saw him, like, spell shield, point blank, Lee kick and stuff, you know, that's some pretty good mind games. Like, shows that he's in the right headspace to be making the big plays.
Oh, yeah.
Then, if you're playing around Blank and Pyrion, who are both feeling confident, both on picks where they can infect the mid game and the early game, I worry for Arya and for Yoshi, because I feel like that 2v2 is not going to work out for them.
No. There is a commitment difference.
Massively. And like when we've seen Sengoku Gaming look their best, it's largely when Blank has been confident, has been proactive in the early game. Like I think back particularly to the Elise game yesterday. I think back to his Kiana game when he had the carpets of doom to follow him around. And like that kind of proactivity early really leads Sengoku into a space where they can be doing something
So
are
we
more aggressive and a little bit more kind of structured, I guess.
Are we saying jungle is important? There's a jungle difference?
Maybe it's a broken role in competitive play. Maybe.
Would we? Yeah, but T1 has shown that it's definitely a thing, right? If he can make Grandmaster or Master with it, like, I mean, clearly Night Blue's washed up, and
I mean, he's playing Karthus as well, which he's just spamming Karthus, which is utterly busted.
True. But like, it's really interesting because there is one other team that leans that heavily on their jungler, and that is V3, who have been having mixed success as well. Picking up that 4-4, tying. We've now got a three-way tie for last place. With only
we could have even more for the.
Oh no, and that's currently. I have to wait for these matches to happen. If CGA go 0-2, we have a 4. That's oh my god. The standings are so whack, dude.
Yeah.
If CGA lose 2 in a row, they tie. We have a 4.
If Sengoku win, because they can't be on the 4-win anyway. They've already picked up their 5th
they've already got
it. Then we will have. So if Sengoku win, we will have like a 4-way tie for.
Well, we'd have 5.
Fourth?
We'd have 5.
But then the winner of the last match will break that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the LJL. Welcome to the LJL.
But let's loses and DFM wins until the last game of yesterday. Yeah.
Let's, I think, about time to go into this game. Let's see what actually happens against Crest Gaming Act versus Sengoku Gaming. As it is a blast from the past, as over here on the LJL Officially Unofficial, I will count us in for 3, 2, 1. Good luck to both these players, and I'll say Auf Wiedersehen.
See you around, Lexi.
Good to have him, yeah.
Getting into chance lights.
Crest Gaming Act. Today on the blue side, it'll be Nap in the jungle. Nap in the jungle. That would be an unusual one. Nap in the top lane. Yoshi in the jungle. Arya in mid lane. And Gango and Grendel down in the bot lane.
And on the other side, for their second game of Week 5, is Sengoku Gaming. In the top lane, Apperman. Jungle, Blank. Mid lane, Pyrion. Bot lane, Yutori Miyashi. And support, Enti.
Yeah, and we've had a few bans come through already. Enti's Rumble and Yumi taken off the board. Understandable, definitely picked that up. He does like his mage sports currently. Set and Ornn taken away from Nap, or possibly Flexible as well. Those champions do have that potential. And we'll see what this one's. Olaf taken away as well.
Olaf banned on blue side. So Blank is a confident jungler, shown that he has a propensity towards that pick. Blank has a pretty large champion pool, but I guess they just think that Olaf is his most effective as champions. but normally it's more of a blue side pick or paired up against the Yumi, paired up with the Yumi, which has already been banned. So,
Yeah, I was wondering a little bit about that, but it suggests that they really don't want to go towards the Olaf or have a pick that would be countered by it potentially.
maybe the Senna actually.
Yeah, exactly. And the Senna
Senna
is
can get ran down a little bit by the Olaf.
Yeah, so Senna is taken. Gango has defaulted back to that the last week or so. Ezreal being hovered, and Yutomiyashi did have a pretty stellar game the last time around. Whether or not he was buffed to high heavens or not, it still looked good. At least picked up the blank. Also ran over that early game, let Yutomiyashi get to the point where he was very, very strong. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this as the duo that is picked up.
Yeah, so I would have expected the Ezreal to picked up first round anyway. You don't tend to let more bans come through towards the AD carry position when there is such a small, valuable pool of ADCs on the current patch. So Ezreal snapped up nice and early by Sengoku. Okay, Yoshi going back towards the Trundle. Last week, CGA kind of struggled when Yoshi was on Kindred and Nidalee, but he's had some okay performances on the Trundle, so heading back towards that. Tom Kench locked in alongside the Senna. I wonder if this is going to be the zero farm strat. Well, the
it
soul
would make a lot of
farming
sense,
strat,
right?
yeah,
But like, I have to say, I've still not been massively impressed with Yoshi's Trundle. I get the idea, but currently he doesn't have all that many people to steal stats from. This is just a blind pick he's gone for. They're thinking about the Karma. It is locked in, and Ezreal Karma is that old school level 1 poke lane. Lots of early lane priority.
So when you lock in a blind Tom Kench, you do open up the lane bully supports of the Karma, and alongside the Ezreal, you do just win that lane kind of as a matter of force, really. It just kind of happens. You can't really deny it. The skill shots keep coming flying out, as you're saying. The level 1 so strong. But the thing about this lane of Gango and Grundle that they're running here is that they don't necessarily get worried about pushing themselves, getting pushed in rather, because they just want to get farmed up on the souls.
Well, there's the Nocturne ban. They fear it, as rightly they should. You turn around the corner and behold, all of the dives around. Zoe's there. Yeah, we saw that Nocturne pick the last 2 games. We saw it look really, really strong. There's a lot of dives available with the Nocturne, and it means particularly when, say, versus the DFM game last time, bot lanes that are going to be pushed in, like we reckon the Senna and the Tom Kench might be, or are going to overextend, as kind of the opposite, can get seriously punished by an Elise and a Nocturne, so taking that out. Vladimir taking it away, though.
In the first matchup between these two teams, Sengoku picked up a Kale, and they were scaling so very, very well until Aria on his Vladimir, which has now been banned, stole a Baron, got a solo kill, moved over towards Baron, stole Baron, won the game for them. Yep. So Sengoku taking that champion out of the wheelhouse of Aria in the mid lane for CGA.
Think I saw a pretty smug response there from Aria's face, and the Silas banned away. Not sure about that. LeBlanc picked blind. I'm okay with that. I think Pyrion plays it well. I think it's one of the safer blind picks available alongside the Zoe.
So Pyrion against Axes somewhat single-handedly won themselves. Won Sengoku the game against them with some great poke combos in and around the dragon. But on the other side, it's Echo locked in. So
and also it's a mid lane pick for Aria, which will be another unique champion for him, and I think it fits into his wheelhouse fairly well.
I think it does. So double AP diving mage assassins in the mid lane. Some chance for some fireworks to be output there. Nat might be heading back to the Aatrox. Had some middling performances on that pick. Yeah. It is locked in. CJ moving a bit in towards a bit more of a dive combo here.
Yeah, and exactly. I do think Echo and Aatrox if the Aatrox teleports down, you're not the worst dive champion. A lot of disruption there alongside the Echo. I could see that being an okay way to try and pile in on a lane.
The problem is
locked in.
Okay, so now you're against a Gnar who can hop away, a LeBlanc that can distortion in and out, Ezreal who can arcane shift, and then the repel from Elise. So you're looking, if you're in terms of like people you can dive onto at all points in the game, it's the Karma, and that's kind of it. So CGA are going to have to execute very well on their divers, because there's a lot of ways that can be avoided.
Indeed, and we were assuming that is the Gnar top. Yep, I never trust NT to pick something completely normal. But that means Appaman of all people as well, going towards an Gnar. I suspect we might see a split push build out of him. I don't know why I say that. Like, it's not like the guy's known for it, or whatever game he's in, finding a way to find a 4-1 split. But
there is that, but we have seen, I think we've seen the Gnar Aatrox matchup a couple of times now. But Gnar, as much as he nullifies lane, even if he gets ahead of the Aatrox is still wave clear with his
Yes.
Darkened Blade, the Q, the 3 parts. He just sits at turret, he uses that, he heals up when he has Death Stance as well. Not really many ways he can be moved from a side lane.
Of course, Gnar is also every now and then, when you can time it right, if you can time it right, absolutely amazing engage. Assuming you time your Mega Gnar right. And that can be a challenge to pull off, but if it can be done, we've seen Gnars truly take over games both in side lane and in a team fight. They do have that kind of potential to be both or neither, depending on how that rage bar is managed. But as we come into game, we'll see how that goes. And as we're coming into game, run me through some of the win conditions here and who you think's kind of favored out of this draft phase.
So, I need to sit and think about this myself a little bit. Both teams have the ability to slot into a 1-3-1 with wave clear AD carries with somewhat of a safe peeling support alongside their AD carry in the mid lane. This is largely going to be about which teams find the early advantages, get early heralds, get their team off to an early start stacking drakes, and then forcing the issue later into the game. Because I think that both of these teams kind of want to achieve the same thing. A lot of their champions obviously have their own little minutiae as well. I think that the Trundle with the pillars might be able to disrupt some of these team fights, particularly if NT doesn't position well on the Karma, as I was talking about. That's the one champion which can be caught out by a lot of the disruption, as I keep coining that term, from CGA. So for me, NC don't feed. On the other side, Grandel and Gango, if you keep yourself safe, you should be able to do some decent damage in team fights.
Yeah, oh, that's a lot of level 1 poke onto Gango.
He'll be able to recall.
But that is the power of this. NT's just going to try and stop him and try and force him back. The minions have spawns who will be late to lane now, whether he gets the back off or not. And that's a big deal.
That's pretty big now. That's pretty big. So they'll lose priority for level 1. Not the biggest thing for Senna anyway. Does start with the Q managing to heal up a little bit. Might even head towards lane without the leash. So it'll be a leashless start for both junglers here, actually. Mid lane also looking to be pushed in early by Pyrion 2 against Adia.
Yeah, and Pyrion is running his usual teleport on the LeBlanc. Not a combat summoner. Does like to be able to split the map for the 1-3-1 as you were talking about. And when you have got someone like Apperman on the other side, the 1-3-1 is definitely something that Sengoku Gaming have tried to pull off in previous weeks. Sometimes to success, sometimes to their own detriment. And I'm sure their last game versus CGA is ringing in their ears when their 1-3-1 kind of fell apart a touch.
Did a little bit. So Sengoku, as we were talking about, managing to get the push on the bot side. Level 1 from Ezreal Karma. Pretty obnoxious, but with all things said and done. So Doran's shield start from Grendel. It's the Spectral Sickle, or whatever that item's called on...
it is a Spectral Sickle.
Okay, I'm glad I got that right. Sometimes I just lose the half of the name somewhere into the ether. But Gango has that. Does mean that he'll be looking for poke and not looking for the CS himself, looking to farm up some of those souls and scale up with the gold value from those instead of the minions.
Still, it's pretty intense that Gango and Grendel, currently forced so far away from the wave, should at least hit level 2, you hope, off the end of this wave. It depends how far they've been zoned off that experience, but it's giving NT and Yutori Miyashi a bit of a run across this lane for now, and look who is here. It's Blank down to the bot side at level 3, double buffs available, thinking about going the Krugs at the least, and that's just the way this lane has leveled out. It means that they can get to the Krugs fairly early.
Ignite early.
Massive damage in, but look at the top side. Yoshi's here. Has to flash. His Apperman has got the hop left though, so it does get out.
That's a timely level 3 level up from Apperman. This could be a bot lane dive.
Coon down, but that's double teleport in. Good grief. I think Blank might be in trouble here. He's got the flash if he needs it. May have to use it, does. But that's what we get for a double teleport. Nap gets another decent Q onto Yutomiyashi though. But of course, Arcane Shift means that the Ezreal gets out scot-free. But that's teleport bump from Pyrion, but teleport from Nap. It's double teleport from Arya as well. I blanked on that, but that means everybody somehow was down there apart from Yoshi for the side of CGA, and it means a free lane for Apperman to shove in.
It does. It means that Apperman is going to get himself a decent CS advantage on that top side, and still has the teleport himself in case he wants to make a play there.
Yoshi's
could be a
here.
fight in the mid lane. Could be. Probably not.
I saw Blank with no repel, and I was thinking this could be trouble, but of course... Oh, sorry, no flash, rather. I think he probably still has his repel up. No, Pyrion's going to get the wave, and nothing out of that gank.
So yeah, Yoshi just there to shepherd in the wave into the mid lane, not actually managing to push it into tower. Pyrion setting up a freeze here, but freezing against an echo, normally pretty hard thing to do with the time winders. Keep coming out with that 2-part Q, able to thin the waves very easily.
I'm not sure, and I feel free to correct me here, because I'm not necessarily entirely sure of this, but I'm not sure about the double teleport bot. I think if they just brought in one, they would have been enough, and that's a lot of poke from that electric.
I think the double teleport was also a bit of Yeah, a bit of a overestimation of what Sengoku could pull off in that dive. Blank taking the aggro pretty early on again and trying to dive at Tom Kench is just so difficult because if you're trying to dive as AD carry, he devours them, and then if you go for the Tom Kench, he's just really tanky.
Yeah, and what it's also led to is a fairly significant CS lead for Appleman in the top. That's 10 CS out
Yes,
of a freeway push in the top side.
It does, particularly after he just lost the flash as well. It's a good change against the run of play somewhat, even though there'd only been a couple of minutes played thus far. So Appleman pretty happy with all things said and done. Will be use the teleport to reset back into lane actually after getting boots and ruby crystal. So now Nap has to lane at slight item disadvantage. Boots actually pretty important in these kind of matchups because you are looking for those extra couple of units of distance to avoid and hit skill shots yourself.
Indeed, and actually, as all said and done, it's about a 600 gold here for Sengoku Gaming early on, just from laning, and that's... Appleman is in trouble potentially. See whether he can time that hop right. Yoshi desperately trying to force out that, does get the hop under tower, is fine. Well played by Appleman to hold his nerve there. I also, honestly, well played by Yoshi not to just throw the pillar axe and it would have been a free hop.
So kept his powder dry, made sure that he had the hop in off of cooldown, so he wasn't going to be blocked by that pillar there. We have seen Yoshi have some decent ganks in the past. One which comes back to mind was when he was ganking for Nap's Cho'Gath versus V3, I think it was, and they got the flash predict on a couple of skill shots there. Yoshi has been pretty okay in the early game on this champion.
Well, all the while, that was a level 4 and 3. Elise and Karma managing to pick up first Drake there very early on for Sengoku Gaming. Saw that gank go topside. So nice heads-up play from the side of Sengoku Gaming. Arya going in with that level 6, but it's turned around by Pyrian, trying to force out that chrono break, but of course, doesn't use it. It's going to back is Arya. Can, of course, if he times it right, just shift back to lane using the recall. If
I think it'd be dangerous to do that.
It would be a bit
I think
dangerous to do it. And level 6 picked up for Pyrian as well, so that double spell available with the Mimic could be a bit of a risk.
I didn't see whether it was a cannon wave heading into mid lane, but normally if you shove in a wave and the next wave is a cannon wave, you've got a really good chance to reset. Appleman being ganked again here, gets the double hop, but the pillars
flash forward from Nap as well, and I think Appleman is just going to be in trouble this time. No flash available, and that is first blood over to Yoshi with the third gank to the top side.
Third time's the charm.
Yeah, indeed, and it works out, and significantly better early game from this jungler than we've seen in the last couple games.
Definitely. Blank was on the top side, was on the Krugs, but not close enough to really disengage anything there. Wasn't in range for a cocoon or anything like that. So Appleman does go down, but it has been a lot of time invested from the CGA top lane duo. We were talking about how Appleman does kind of do his own thing, but Blank had been playing very well. Yoshi, though, you know, having a good game on the Trundle so far, but this isn't the point in the game where we've really been worried about him on this champion. Normally been into those mid and late game team fights where he does just tend to die very quickly. And in this game, there aren't going to be too many tank stats to steal like we were saying in the pregame.
Yeah, and guess...
Draft.
Well, yeah. Guess what's spawning in under 30 seconds. Guess who's rotated to the top side. Guess who loves their objectives early. You guessed it right. Sengoku Gaming looking to set up for the Rift Herald.
It will be, but I think Tom Kench might hit level 6 just before then. Yeah, just because Yutaro Miyashi is at level 6 right now. So another wave. And
teleport and Gango as well.
And there's a teleport and Gango. There's the Abyssal Voyage. So I don't think that CGA will be out of options if they do want to contest, as long as they get the correct positioning to do so.
Yeah, but it means they'll be able to get a free plate down here. On the other side, looking at the Tom Kench, this is not the fastest tower taking team. I would expect Tom Kench at least to be running Demolish. So that would be something onto the tower. But I don't imagine it's the fastest tower push, at least going through my head.
It's not the fastest. It's sped up a little bit by the fact that the Piercing Shadow from Senna's Q, it does actually count as an auto attack, so you can auto cancel auto into Q. And every auto you have reduces the cooldown of that said Q. It means that you do get a couple of extra procs of damage onto the tower.
Yes, but of course...
and the Spectral Sickle also gives you, you know, the old Spell Thieves thing.
Yes.
It does give you extra damage onto towers as well, so, you know, just, yeah.
And like clockwork, Blank and NT are here for the Rift Herald spawn. Blank on this very much this early game, early pressure jungler, looking to try and control as many objectives in that space as he can. He's actually up a fair amount of CS in the jungle as well, which I guess is part of the fact that Yoshi has been ganking so damn hard onto that top side. To fairly good success, though, I will grant the Trundle. So it is a bit of a trade there, and it is a bit of a trade in the mid lane as well. And that means Rift Herald's picked up already, and they're going to summon it up top with the 2 plates remaining, get that free turret with those added resistances, meaning very little to the Rift Herald true damage.
And one thing which I really like from Yutori Miyashi here is he went for the Sheen first on the Ezreal, going to get the remaining plates on the top lane out of turret with the Herald there. So if you're pushing in with Ezreal Karma, Karma will keep getting the Spell Thief procs on the towers, and then having the Sheen there available from the Ezreal 2 means that your early damage is pretty high as a duo.
Yeah, exactly. And because it is kind of that poke duo, then you can look to abuse that as early on as you can, and because that's when you've got a lot of strength and does get the second charge, that's a big deal. If Apperman can get back there and return to it, which I suspect he'll be looking to do at some point in this game, we'll see something out of it. Gango and Grendel do finally claim this turret, though, or at least I imagine they will, as Apperman won't be able to clear this wave quite quick enough.
And that'll be able to even up the gold at the end of the day. The first blood evening out the plates that were taken off.
Going on to Arya here is going to be rooted in place, and look where he's going to have to chrono break too. Does wait out that sort of time difference of 4 seconds well enough to be able to get out of that.
Yeah, so it's the ult burn from the Echo, meaning that in the next 30 seconds when the Dragon comes up, the Mana Dragon, that Echo will not be able to die with as much impunity as he would have liked. The back not cancelled by Yutori Miyashi, that would have definitely sealed the Dragon for them. Actually, Arya TPing immediately back into the mid lane there.
Yeah, desperate to be around for this Manta Drake that is spawning in 20 seconds. Let's have a look at some of those items we talked about. Gango has got himself a Serrated Dirk there. There is a Spirit Visage complete for the Tom Kench. That'll be ready for this fight. On the other side, there it's the Sheen Pickaxe tier for Ezreal, so at least has some damage out with that Sheen particularly, but it's not at a full item yet.
Honestly, Grendel's pretty tanky with that one item, thinking about it. Doran Shield and the Spirit Visage, that's a lot of tank for a level 6 Tom Kench.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, especially against the amount of AP threat.
TP
Yutomi is now in a lot of trouble here. Is going to try and Arcane Shift out. Has the flash, going to burn the heal first, though. And Apperman has got Mega Gnar and is in behind. The Cocoon misses from Black. He's probably going to have to repel out. I don't think he's got anybody to repel to, though. I think he's going to fall down into that Dawning Shadow and get picked up by Yoshi, who flash chomps him. NT now running away. Grendel chasing, so very, very hungry on this Tahm Kench. And that means it's a clean kill for the side of CGA, and it's onto the jungler, which should mean this Mountain Drake is uncontested.
That's kind of sad because the pressure and advantages won by Pyrion in the mid lane versus Arya didn't end up leading to any advantages around this fight. Blank getting picked off after a good teleport to punish Yutori Miyashi, overstaying a little bit in that bot lane. You know, I wonder if Blank had just moved up a couple of units north, he might have been able to repel over to the Vision Plant.
Exactly that.
It didn't end up being able to. Yoshi then flashed in for his second kill of the game on the Trundle, as much as we have been slighting his performances somewhat. Had a good early game so far, we will reiterate once again.
Yeah, and that's a nice return to a little bit of pressure for CGA. Now up in the gold themselves by about it's about 1,000 at the minute. And with a Drake to their name as well, it's looking fairly good for this team in the early game.
It is, got themselves an 800 gold lead as well. Significant, a lack of significant differences across all the lanes. Going back into the replay here, it's a channeled teleport from Nap and a bit of a late one from Gnar here, who does come in with Mega Gnar, but doesn't manage to really impact the fight. Gango with a good route there, the last embrace, and able to delay that Gnar from coming in and really having any effect on this team fight at all. Throws out one rock and that's it. Then you look at the other side of this fight, just been zoned off by Grendel and Nap there as well, were Pyrion and NT.
Yeah, and I think Apperman may well have lost a fair amount of that wave to turret there as well, which puts him behind in the CS this time around. And it's looking fairly good for CJ, as we've been saying, as Pyrion dashes into Senna, thinking he was going to get some damage off, and actually takes a piercing shadow to the face and regrets his choices.
Well, you know what's really interesting? There are 3 sweepers picked up from CJ already,
That's
alongside the Umbral Glaive from Gango, so their vision control is going to be pretty gnarly coming into the mid-game here. Only 13 minutes in, but going to be able to starve out a lot of that vision control from Sengoku.
And I do also want to highlight that's a lot of vision wards in inventory there. It's at least one for 4 members, and I believe Arya's already placed his. So that's just good, solid vision control.
I like that setup. Definitely
Options
like that setup.
for that team. Yes, I agree. Ezreal, though, is kind of finally got himself towards that Mana Mune, is at a point where he can be starting to put out a little bit more damage, not transformed yet, of course, we'll still be waiting 7 odd minutes for the double item completion for that champion.
And it won't be the Infernal Soul this time, which we saw. You told me actually kind of pop off on the last game versus Detonation Focus Me, taking them down in their first loss of the split so far. But it will be an Ocean Rift instead. That will be the Rift. 1 dragon apiece for either side here. So looking to see who moves towards the next couple of dragons, see if there's a soul point threatened early into this game.
Yeah, and there's also something to the fact that Ezreal of all champions as well uses that Ocean Soul really well. The fact he can poke and proc it is really nice. So I'm kind of agreeing that while he doesn't have the Infernal Soul for raw damage in terms of combat stats, I still think the Ocean Drake offers a fair amount, or the Ocean Soul offers a fair amount for
Arguably, all of the souls are really good for poke champions.
Yes.
I'm struggling to think of any of them which don't work for a poke champion. Mountain Soul works with and against them very well. Infernal, obviously, meaning you can proc that on cooldown. And Ocean Drake is a constant tick up as well, meaning that you're never going to be running into a fight lower than maximum HP.
Yeah, so I'm kind of curious, where would a Cloud Soul work with something?
It depends
like
on the champions. Ezreal, I mean, to be honest, Ezreal's pretty happy with his using his ult on cooldown anyway. He does use that to trim some waves and side lanes. Not necessarily the most impactful ult. With something like a Ziggs, the Mega Inferno Bomb is pretty nice, obviously.
Yes.
You know who's actually the best champion with Cloud Soul, though?
Singed.
Not what I was thinking. Okay, I was thinking LeBlanc, actually.
Yeah, I can see LeBlanc. I just imagine the speed from Singed running around being ridiculously obnoxious.
No, just in terms of stacking Cloud Drakes on a LeBlanc, it's pretty huge. Being able, because you do tend to use that for your kill poke combos. And having that on, if you get
a non-cooldown.
Having that on a non-cooldown, at level 16 with 40% CDR with Ultimate Hunter and Cloud Drakes, you can get it down to 10 seconds.
Yeah, it just loses the down and just becomes cool.
And it's very cool.
And that's for everybody but the opposing team. And Yoshi here about to start up the second Hero Herald. Has got the pressure with Arya shoving in. Looking to be able to get that Herald and put some more pressure onto the map. And I can't blame CGA for going for that. Really,
you know what I'm interested in now? So Blank's picked up a Fiendish Codex instead of going towards Flat Pen, which means he's probably going to be going towards something like a Zonya's, maybe even something like a Banshee's Fel. But that will mean that Blank will be able to be that artificial frontline a little bit more from the jungle. As we see Enzi getting
behind his bird, the World Ender as well. That came in from the bush. That's the deal with the Ocean Rift. Does have to burn Flash, is this Karma. Does get out, though. But look where CGA are. They've got a Herald and Arya coming in behind you. Torimiyoshi and Enti are going to try and clear this wave. But it could be a mistake because Arya is looking to dive.
Yes, they are. So NC has to burn the flash there. Will seed the mid lane turret with the pressure as well, even though Sengoku just the wave before had the mid lane pushed in. The
Period is here. They're thinking about to turn this around. That's a decent Dawning Shadow, though. And that means that Karma does a lot. And Arya just chrono shifts out and is fine. Well played by CGA.
And specifically well played by Arya, knowing that NC, not the tankiest of champions, with just the Ionian boots and a couple of AP components on the Karma, the support for Sengoku having it in inventory there, dives in with the parallel convergence, uses the chrono shift to get back out just as quickly, gets the kill for it as well.
Sengoku Gaming, though, looking to strike back with a swift Ocean Drake steal, or take rather. It feels a bit against the run of play, but it does mean that they get to start stacking these Drakes. And Blank, while he's not managed to get that much done in the last few minutes, outside of a fairly good early game around some of the early objectives, has got a fair amount of AP damage, does take down these dragons fairly quickly.
Yeah, and Pyrian's actually going to find an opening here to take down the bot lane turret as well with this next wave, I think. Unless Nat managed to get there in time, I don't think he's going to be able to protect that turret. So it'll be the second turret for Sengoku, evening up the tower score against CGA here. Pyrian doing pretty well on this LeBlanc as well. Saw that he did manage to have a pretty good diving combo into the group team of CGA, but unfortunately a bit too little too late to save NC on the Karma.
So yeah, that'll be NT's life in a mid lane turret for what will be the bot lane turret and the Ocean Drake, which is not
it's actually an extended trade, not awful.
Blank is going to get forced away from that ward clear, though. I was a bit worried for his life there for a second if that last embrace had landed, but does get away from that in time. And that means that vision control is still very much in the hands of CGA, at least towards this red side jungle of Sengoku Gaming.
Sengoku managed to make some pushes into the bot side jungle of CGA to get some wards down there. But when we look back onto this play where NC had to burn flash and then had to dive in the turret as well, I think a lot of that did come out of the resulting vision play from CGA. We saw that nap on this Ocean Rift, using the extended brush cover to get in out of vision, jump onto NC, and that will affect this vision control again because there are just more brushes you need to control.
Yeah, and let's just do a bit of a check-in at where we're at. The game is still very close. It's only about 1,000 gold lead towards CGA. That's not all that much at this stage in the game, to be completely honest with you. Ezreal's not that far away from a Trinity Force either.
Yeah,
Imagine it'll be another wave or two, and he'll be getting towards that point. Black Cleaver's complete for the Gnar. Ludens is in for LeBlanc. It's Proto Belt and Sheen on the side of Echo, though, and that's a very scary point. Umbral Glaive complete for Sen, and that's just even more ward control, or vision control, rather. And it's a Black Cleaver in for the Aatrox as well. So a lot of kind of first items, for 1.5 items in. So I imagine the next Drake fight will be a fairly spicy one in a few minutes.
And it's worth saying that effectively no one is ridiculously far behind their opponents. We're still going to have some quite even fights here. Like we're saying, it's only the 1k gold lead for CGA. No spectacular advantages for any one carry. I guess there are cheaper items onto Gango, that Umbrella Glaive being one of the cheapest items in the game, versus the Ezreal, who builds up towards the Mana Moon and the Triforce, both very, very effective items. However, you got the stall stacking from the Senna just the same, meaning that your gold value for a lot of your stats is still very high.
And Arya does finally take down that top turret. Has been pushing up that way for a little while. That means all 3 outer turrets now down for Sengoku Gaming. And it's actually, as my colorcaster notes with a little bit of surprise, a 2-level advantage towards Essential, who has the most farm in the game, I believe, at this point. Looking really good. And yes, of course, this Sana is on a no-farm strat. But
just builds the Triforce too.
Yeah, exactly. But either way, that's a fairly big experience advantage, if nothing else.
It is. The ball is definitely in Yutori Miyoshi's court right now. Has the ability to take over this game with these items, with the level advantage as well. So the next fight, which will probably come up in the next 2 minutes, as the second Ocean Dragon would be the 3rd dragon overall for Sengoku, spawns onto the Rift here. So that'll be the next big fight that we're looking for. So we're going to have to track where the wards are going in preparation for it. We see that the red side jungle of CJ has been lit up with Sengoku wards in prep so far.
Yeah, of course there could be a bit of a return of that vision control. Yeah, that was a fairly good true shot barrage, but of course the piercing shadow is also pretty good at restoring health, so Gango is back to relative parity pretty quickly there. Also, with this sort of minute or so left on the Ocean Drake, we're not potentially Yutori actually has got time to go for that Muramana transform yet, so do keep your eyes on that. If that does turn up, the 2-item spike could be pretty big.
It could be, but remember that he did start Sheen, so won't have the earliest Muramana transform. It's still not going to be too bad. He has been spamming out spells the entire game and has had the Muramana, the Mana Moon for quite some time. So, but if they do manage to get it up in time for this dragon, could change the flavor of it absolutely massively. Also worth noting, Pyrion has backed and picked up a Void Staff too.
I was about to have that conversation. Yes, it's pretty good. And there is actually a lot of Merc Treads in fact, for the side of CGA. And that's before we start to sort of add in any other runes or anything else they might have picked up. So I think that's a pretty sensible point, as well as you're expecting Nap and Yoshi. Probably, and that's the Spirit Visage as well on the Tom Kent, so I can absolutely understand that Void Staff second.
Well, I think Sengoku are actually pretty strong heading into this fight. However, on the other side,
Muramana transform complete.
So Muramana completed for the Ezreal, 2 items completed for Aria on the Echo as well, has the Lichbane complete. So both of these teams have the tools that they really want to fight.
Cocoon lands onto Tom Kent, but he's pretty tanky. But Gango is not, and the flat forward for Period is a clean pickup, and that's just before this dragon fight, and the mid lane turret now going to be sieged. No, they're just going to shove the wave in and rotate over to the Ocean Drake. What a pick by Pyrion. That Void Staff coming up huge for a bit of extra damage.
Demand a replay of that combo. Pyrion managing to just kind of bop Gango there. Says, hey, I mean, I've got the items. You don't have the HP bar there. It will be the 3rd dragon picked up for Sengoku, and now they have themselves a very solid win condition in this game.
Yes, they do. More poke, of course, with the fact that LeBlanc acts almost as a poke champion with her combos. That Ezreal there with his, those Ocean Drakes are going to be fantastic.
Okay, right. So, Pyrion hops over the wall, waits until he has his distortion back off cooldown here, dodges out on the W, good poke from the Ezreal, and then the finishing combo from Pyrion there with the final distortion, committing the flash to it as well. I'm not sure if the Devour was on cooldown there from Grendel. Actually, I can't remember if it was actually in the replay. Sometimes you just focus on the one champion. But yeah, so no Devour coming out to save Gango there. It's a very, very good pick. Very timely as well. And it nets Sengoku a big, big objective lead in this game.
Yes, it does. And that changes the game a little bit. Where there is still that goal lead for CGA, but they're suddenly looking a little bit more vulnerable. But despite all that, we have got an Echo who's got to 2 items himself. Lichbane Protobelt is a big spike for that champion. Can do what he did earlier on. It's actually 50 CS up over Pyrian, by the way.
Yeah, and has a kill to. Well, they both have a kill to their name.
But that is a very strong Echo who can absolutely get onto people like NT and blow them up if he can get onto Yutomiyashi and chase him down. Can definitely look to punish those very squishy champions.
So I think one of the reasons for this is that Yutomiyashi has been the beneficiary of a lot of the farm so far, and this has led to it was 2-level advantage for Arya, just being closed down to a 1-level advantage over his lane opponent as well. Level 15 to level 14, going to be ticking up to that 3rd rank of the ultimate pretty soon, and at that point, like, his ultimate's going to be on a very short cooldown.
Yes, it will be CGA back into the mid lane, but of course, True Shot Barrage means that waves are fairly easy to be trimmed. And the 1-3-1 setup has been initiated by both teams. We've got Arya versus Echo in the top side, and we've got a Gnar versus an Aatrox down in the bot side. And at the minute, it's pretty much a stalemate, even if Appleman has managed to get a bit of a shove down on this side for now.
You know what interaction I really want to see this game?
Oh yeah, tell me.
So Echo's phase dive, his E, his little dash forward into the auto attack. When he goes to the auto attack, he actually blinks to his target. So during the cast time of that, when you kind of wind up the auto, if someone moves away from them, he kind of follows them. So if LeBlanc distorts forward and then he autos them and then Pyrian blinks back in the middle of that combo, he can like fly halfway across the screen. I really want to see that this game sometime.
The phase dive being suddenly a little bit further than you expected. That's a lot of diving practice going in there. Could be quite entertaining.
Yeah.
I just want to check in here. Where are we at with win conditions for these two teams, and who are you kind of favoring as we're heading into the mid stage of this game?
I mean, Sengoku are on Ocean Soul Point. That's
the big one. Yeah, that's a huge one. It's a huge one.
I say this on cast quite a few times. I think that if there is an instant win, Drake's Soul, most of the time it's the Ocean Drake. The only time when Ocean Drake is and its Soul is not relevant is when you're just 100-0 with no chance of regenning anything. When you have so many tools to kind of keep yourself a little bit more healthy and peel for yourself, stuff like the Arcane Shift, you've got the shields from Karma, you have the Repel from Elise, Distortion and the LeBlanc passive, and then Gnar just being tanky in his own right. It means that you are going to have the ability to start proccing that Ocean Soul and then regen up several hundreds of HP throughout the course of a fight.
Yes, and it's also just this thing where, like, because they've got to this point quite early on, like, it does force the engages when Pyrian and particularly Yutomiyashi are at a really, really strong point. That 2.5 item spike is massive for Ezreal.
And also, like, they will just have 3 Ocean Drakes as well, which means that when they tank, they can tank Baron for forever with the Gnar if they want to do it. Or to be honest, they'll probably be able to tank it with someone like Elise, supported by the Karma as well at that point, who is also worth mentioning, has picked up the Twin Shadows first item, not going towards the Athenes or the Ardent Censer. As a first item, picked up a good amount of CDR between the 2 items and the Spell Thieves as well. Will be sat on 40% CDR pretty early into this game.
Yeah, and lo and behold, Appleman has gone for a split pushing build. That is a Black Cleaver Frozen Mallet. What a surprise!
It is a split pushing build, but they are both HP items, and you pair that up with the Ninja Tabi as well. Looks like he's building towards a Stone Plate third. Look at that HP. I mean, he's still tanky. And with the Ocean Drake, if that Ocean Soul comes up, that HP will be very hard to cut through because it's just going to keep regenning back.
Oh, sure. But, like, it's basically his Appleman's love, like, the side lane 1v1 kingdom is something he can definitely focus on. We know he's going to be one to do that.
I mean, when Arya picks up the Death Cap, which is building towards third, we'll have a chat about that.
Yeah, yeah, that's going to be that'll be a fun one.
Well. He's level 16, picked up 2 nearly large rods. It is going to be 10 seconds until the Ocean Drake, though, so we'll shift over to that as our priority.
It is indeed, and again, fix your eyes on people like the Ezreal who are going to be looking to put out a lot of damage. Fix your eyes on people like Arya who are so close to war. Very fed and capable of doing a lot of work. Gnar is on a flank, is off vision, so could be trying to find his way up to a decent Rage Bar stack. Yes, the teleport from that is coming in. Yutomiyashi is in the mid lane, and Appleman is actually at half HP, but that's a good combo from Pyrian, but traded back fairly swiftly. The poke from Blank, a little bit incidental onto the magic resist stacking Grendel, and he just regens right back up.
Yutomiyashi was looking for mid lane priority there, wasn't around for the initial poke wall, which means that Pyrian will be sat at half HP for this fight. Does manage to get back into the river now, though, as they push in. Well, no, they go back to push another wave. They're dancing back and forth. This is not a Baron dance, but it is one of the dragon variety.
Yeah, and Apperman is now at a glorious Meganar point just in time for this Ocean Drake start. Utomashi poking over the wall,
This is
trying to get a pick onto
dangerous.
Grendel, who goes down to half HP, but it is still thick skin, so he's probably going to be just fine. Aria takes a little bit of folk trying to find his way in here,
They've
and this
timed out the
stalemate,
Meganar
it's
now.
so intense. This could decide the game, ladies and gentlemen. Gango takes massive damage in this time period, gets to take it without throwing his health bar away. Nap is in the back, but on vision, and the dance around this Ocean Soul continues.
Well, the Mega Gnar got timed out there. None of that. The Big Gnar ultimate didn't manage to come out. Aria's moving back to try and push out this mid lane again. CGA, the key thing here is that their mid lane turret is still standing. Sengoku can't push the wave onto their side of the map. Does mean that actually both teams are both disengaging from this fight, backing off so Perion can teleport back in.
Yeah, he was low on mana as well. Probably wanted to pick up some stuff. So just like if that fight had continued the way it was, could have seen a LeBlanc with no mana available. But this time the Drake started up one more time, and they're gonna pull it out of that pit, try and stop Yoshi from just coming in. But Nap's thrown the world under and has found his way onto Yutori Miyashi, who arcane shifts over the wall. Blank does get the 50-50. He wins that one, and that means Ocean Soul is Sengoku Gaming's, and that is a massive pickup. And you've got to feel that could decide everything
Yoshi.
at this point. The healing is huge,
no.
and look, that was a flash that's gone to nowhere. Yoshi desperate to get out. Grendel now frozen in place. That cocoon was huge, and Nap goes down. His world is ended. Gango now in trouble, desperately trying to get away with the Black Mist, but the poke through is true, and Pyrion chases. The health bars all topped up with that beautiful regeneration, and Sengoku Gaming firmly in control of this game. What a steal from Blank.
Make no mistake, this is one of those games where you do decide to not trust the information which your eyes are giving you in terms of the gold lead on the heads-up display that we have here. It might be only a 1,000 gold lead for Sengoku, but with the Ocean Soul, this game is so firmly within their control now.
And they've got so many towers to pick up that
that's
even
huge.
within seconds, that gold lead now matches the power they have. Can we look at this one more time? I want to see how on earth Blank managed to get that Drake at the end. Yes, they started up to the Sengoku Gaming, but it got pretty tight.
Yes, it did. So, after the big dance before this, Sengoku kind of lose their patience to start up. The Dragon here, Nap gets a decent flank onto the backline, but doesn't really manage to secure big chunks of damage onto the side of Sengoku. Nap then flashes in onto Blank, but does use the Blast Plant there. We talked about that interaction earlier into the game to get out safely, and then the Ocean Soul is ticking him up. Ticking, keeps gaining all that HP. The big Gnar comes in onto two people of CGA. Blank flashes forward for the Cocoon. Yutori Miyashi flashes in to secure that kill, and then it's just kind of the rundown show here. Even with the slow from the Time Winder coming out, just isn't enough to disengage the team. Sengoku walk away with some kills and walk away with the soul.
CGA now in a bit of a difficult spot. They have all the tools for all the vision control they could possibly want, but what are they going to be able to do with it is the problem. They don't take Baron all that quickly, so that's they can't rush that particularly well. Gango is still down 2 levels to this Ezreal, who is now at 3.5 items, including a QSS and an Executioner's calling to his name.
I think you're waiting for a hero play from that area. That's it. Literally, you got 3 items alongside a 3 items, one of which is a death cap on the Echo. Should be able to do some damage against the sideliners here from Sengoku. Apperman not choosing to go for the Stone Plate, by the way. I did call that out earlier. That might have been the item. It wasn't. It was, in fact, the Guardian Angel. That's what the Cloth Armor and the Stopwatch built into. Turns out it builds into both. I just completely forgot about that. So it does have the extra ability to stay alive against some of these burst trades. And then, obviously, the Ocean Soul healing him up even more so.
Yeah, and it means in these 1-3-1s as well, he just has that little bit more extra damage. It's not a bad pickup for
builds out of a BF sword, so it's pretty good.
Indeed. And as kind of someone who is looking towards that split pushing kind of build, that's the way Appman plays everything he ever gets his hands on. It's not a surprise to see him pulling out that GA third.
This kind of Gnar build allows you to kind of do a bit of both. We saw that he did have the big team fight impact in that last fight with the big double Gnar. But he's not really going to be removed from a side lane himself now. Very tanky, has the Ocean Soul. 3 Ocean Drakes as well, nothing to be sniffed at. What, that's 9% missing HP per 8-10 seconds, something like that. It's a good amount.
Huge.
Yeah.
On the other side, though, we're looking at least a couple items complete for the Senna. Might be able to do something. I don't know what soul count she's at. I've not seen 107 souls. So that's something.
But that's the thing. Most Sennas tend to get their damage through auto Q poke trades and then running it down into further damage. how do you poke out this team? Also against a team which is so mobile at chasing you down. Every time Gango's moved to go forwards, we've had Pyrion on his face, had Yutori Arcane shifting, Mystic shotting him to death. It's going to be a hard game for this Senna to really take over. I don't think there'll be enough time for this Senna to scale up into this game.
And that is a 6,000 gold lead of this Ezreal over this Senna. Yes, of course, she's a bit lower down.
I mean,
but it's still a
3K. There's a 3K lead for Grendel on to NT, so whatever, right?
Exactly. But it's even that's what you really want, the Tom Kench with the gold lead over the Karma, or the massive gold lead of the Ezreal over the Senna.
Maybe the Unclog the Frog and bench the Kench. Maybe all of that was just alluding to the future, which is now where Kench is allowed to get all the gold as he deserves. Arya picks out here.
Yeah, does get the chains onto him, doesn't have his ultimate burned, and is very low there.
Hangs fire just about, does have the teleport as well, and alongside the home guard will probably be able to get out onto the map pretty quickly.
And the missing ping from the Nar bot side, because he's pushing in and forcing Arya to come and respond to him, and that means that Sengoku Gaming will start this Baron and look to burn one of the many teleports that CGA have. Nap and Arya not there, and no idea what's going on.
Yutori actually has the Blade of the Ruin King as well, so we'll be able to chunk through this Baron much quicker than the opposing. Senna would be in a similar situation. They do peel off of it though, just not quite preferring that situation there. Might have been corralled into the Baron pit there, choosing to reset and maybe go again later.
Yeah, but Nar is back to his split pushing ways. That inhibitor turret took a fair chunk while he's got some time on it. Nap gonna try and get onto Pyrion, but no, does distort away and he's just fine. And we're going to look for a bit of a reset for the rest of Sengoku Gaming, but Apperman's like, well, I've got the inhibitor turret, so the rest of you are in trouble. Are you going to respond to me, or are you going to try and rush the Baron? Currently, they're looking for the Baron. They don't get to rush it. You're right, this could be a mistake.
Maybe.
Well, I suppose with the Lichbane and with an Aatrox there is a fair amount, and Trundle's not bad either.
Quickly. They're teleporting in as well.
Yeah, exactly, and I believe Nar is at a mega Nar point. Here we go. This could be absolutely huge. Oh my days. CGA, you could be in so much trouble. That's a fair trade from Arya on to get Yutori Miyoshi, but the healing means absolutely huge stuff back, and Pyrion has destroyed Gango. Nap goes golden, but it's just a monument to CGA's sins, and they go down, and it's a 2-0 lead in that fight, and it'll be Baron to Sengoku Gaming, and they got the bot inhibitor beforehand anyway. They get to have all the cake and eat it, and CGA's as well.
So Pyrion TP's in, has a death cap this time, just a small time item there. And to add insult to injury, they probably end up with more HP than they started with due to the Ocean Soul there. Yutori Miyoshi, so very strong. Both him and Pyrion going 2-0 and 2 in their KDA. They are in firm control of this game. They peel off the Baron earlier, knowing that CGA can't really rush it. They have a great ward to double TP onto. Nothing stopping those TPs either. Okay, let's go into what happens in the micro interactions. Gango gets popped pretty early into here, loses half his HP, and more importantly, the Devourer is now down. He's stuck in the pit. He has to fire his ultimate, tanking up the Baron himself, actually. Takes 3 Baron shots. He's actually going to die to Baron itself. Probably takes about 4 things there. Nap does his best trying to buy some time on the backline, but honestly, it's too little too late in this team fight when your carry is already down. Arya also similarly not having much in agency to affect that team fight, and now it's going to be an Elder going the way of Sengoku as well. Second time this week.
And this will be the second time this week we've seen Yutori Miyoshi start up and solo it on Ezreal. That's what this guy offered. Apperman now in a bit of trouble, but the Elder Drake is here. He's nearly at Mega now. He can turn this around, and CGA just said, maybe not.
I'm pretty sure he didn't even need to flash there, if I'm honest. Like, what are they going to do?
That's a really good question.
Legitimately, what do they do?
I mean, Arya's not there, and he's the only one I can see offering enough damage to deal with the guy.
He's got 4,500 HP.
Well, yes, he's got a Spectre's Cowl at this point as well, so it's not even like Arya gets the easiest time versus him. And that means, look at this, with the Baron and the Elder Drake and the Ocean Soul. It's all the Uber buffs to the second game, the second time this week for Sengoku Gaming. They are extraordinarily strong. And I'm thinking some pretty dangerous stuff. Blank does spend a bit of time in that parallel convergence, but daring Arya to come forward is he. And this could be the death push. All the waves are coming in. It's double inhibitor down. Gango has to go back to the fountains one more time. Pyrion takes a lot of damage, but he does stay alive, and the Ocean Soul will pull him back, and the Dawning Shadow splits the goalpost and does very little. Pyrion distorting forwards. CGA and Arya so desperate to clean up the last of this minion wave. They're trying to get onto Utorimayoshi, but he's got QSS, and that means that Blank goes golden with the Zhonya's, and that's going to end the game. CGA just can't kill them. The Ocean Soul regeneration is too strong. Blank kills the Tahm Kench, and that is GG Sengoku Gaming, going 2-0 this week.
It is perfect, can play around the neutral objectives, find themselves an Ocean Soul, find themselves a second win for a much more confident 2-0 coming out of Sengoku. Swan, talk us through it.
I had my mic muted, that's why I wasn't talking. Hello, everybody! Well, that was Sengoku kind of taking it to Crest, and outside of that initial fight, Sengoku aggressively prioritized making sure they had objective control, and that dragon specifically. They did let the first one go, I believe, if I can remember the game rightly.
Second
One. Yeah.
They won one.
But they prioritized getting the dragons. They got a little bit lucky, but that was Blank coming in clutch, and if you're going to have to realize anyone's going to come in clutch, Blank is quite clearly their clutch man at the moment. Upon using that, they're able to then get the advantage. From there, they can keep going forward, and well, that's exactly what they do. Apperman in that bot lane, pushing. So much priority put onto that, which then just ended the game 3 times faster once they had that Baron, because they could just siege, already knowing they've got an opening here that has to be prioritized, which then means they can get that top lane, that mid lane, and just win the game. And congratulations to Sengoku. Well in the spot of second place, and no one can tie them for the rest of the day.
Deservedly too, right? My takeaways from this game are, I really like Utorimayoshi on Ezreal.
Yeah.
I think he's finding a lot of agency on that pick. It kind of allows him to make the plays which he couldn't do on the MF. Because MF, as much as she has the teamfight presence, can get a little bit caught out, can be dived quite a bit. When you're on the Ezreal, supported by something like NT's mage supports, he's gone towards the Morgana before, gone towards the Karma now as well. It does give Utorimayoshi a bit more agency in himself, in his own role, rather than being the supporting member, to be the person who's actually making the play. And then also, I think that just helps take the pressure a bit off of Blank and Pyrion as well. Because I think that when they were the ones who needed to make all the plays, sometimes they kind of falter under the pressure. Now that in the bot lane they've had a bit more availability to do so, they're looking pretty clean.
Jesus, if you look at this damage graph that came through for the game, oh my god, Utorimayoshi, almost 40k damage he dealt that game. No one on the side of Crest actually did 10k damage.
Oh really?
That's not
sad.
Nice. And like there is an element of Utorimayoshi being on the Ezreal, kind of pulling the Thanos, saying, fine, I'll do it myself. Picks up the Infinity Stones of 4 Drakes and that Ocean Soul to go along with
and
it.
The Elder.
And his Gauntlet is definitely a little bit of snapping his fingers and people just disappearing.
I said in the podcast, ban his Ezreal. I think it's now you have to ban his Ezreal.
I think it's definitely the pick he's looked best on individually, I think. Oh, no, he's been really consistent. So I think regardless of, he just looks good on that pick, for sure.
And like, I called him out last week as my player of the week for the AD carry position, and I'm kind of seeing a potential return to that this week. He looks really good at the minute.
He does.
With that all in mind, we have got our last final game for the day. It is going to be the Fukuoka SoftBank Hawks Gaming facing off against Crest Gaming Act, fighting for that third place spot. Crazy to think that 5 and 5 is third place, but that is what happens when everybody is currently sitting on 4 and 6, and DFM and Sengoku are starting to now run away with it. But anything is possible, but we will find out what happens in that final game right after this break. Thank you so much for watching.